This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
Good evening, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. I am Sandy Schoelles, and this is Jennifer Hynes, and we are in our Christmas hats and Christmas presents, so we thought we'd bring a little humor to the very beginning, since we just listened to Greta, and it was quite moving, the same speech, and then we just thought we'd open our Friday night show with something a little different. Hi, Jen.
Hey, good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Sandy.
It sure is. Hi, everybody. We've got Bio and Stephen Davidson and Osama #5 and Keith Boyd and Muscal, Kim, Kent Deal, Going South, Hierophant, Book Hermit, CB. Everybody's here. And this is really terrific. Thank you all for coming. We have quite a show, a lot of stuff to talk about. We have video, and we're going to talk about the things, if I can find my notes, go over through 2019 with wildfires, Amazon, Arctic, Australia, greenhouse gas emissions not going down, methane leaks, like in the Texas Permian Basin, the warm air, the warm earth, changing rainfall patterns, drought, right-leaning planet eaters, sea level rise. So we've got a lot, but we're just going to use a few articles that we found, and we're going to go through it that way. So Jen, I didn't know which way did you want it to start? Well, everybody, hi Val.
Well,
Okay.
let's go ahead and start with this article called 2019, the Year of Climate Consciousness.
Okay,
and
that's
this is
the
an
one.
article that came out in DW. And
All right,
DW
perfect.
is such a great publication. But if we're going to summarize 2019, I mean, we can go through the litany of horrors that Sandy's just gone through.
We
And
don't.
yes, that's it's
Yeah.
just all there. It's terrible. It's getting worse, and this is not a shock to any of us who've been studying abrupt climate change. But also, 2019 has been the year of awakening consciousness to our climate catastrophe. It's the first time I've really seen climate consciousness go global and go big. And I think a lot of it actually had to do with Greta and her one pointed determination.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of like the anvil of Shiva or something. I mean, she's just so clear. And I think that she's done amazing things to awaken people to our climate catastrophe and where we really are in our cycle, how late it is in the human cycle right now and in climate. So,
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
this is pretty amazing. So, this article, if you can pick it up, it's in DW.
Yeah, I
And
put the link in.
okay, cool. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Sandy will have the link in there.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely, I mean, besides the litany of horrors and, the IPCC, COP25, all these things, besides all these things, this was the year that people really begin to wake up to it. And I think abrupt climate change is becoming a household word now. What do you think?
The hell yeah, it is. I mean, well, even if it's becoming a household word in those households that don't believe it, it's still a household word
Yeah.
because all the media, even Fox News, is talking about it. Now, of course, they're talking about it where they're using, the Heritage Foundation talking points, so we don't have to go there. But yeah,
Yeah.
and it's in a lot more people's vocabulary. Like when my mother, she knew I was talking about this and how she said to me, it took David Wallace Wells' article, The Hothouse Earth, what was it
Yeah.
called, in New York
Did,
Magazine, for my mother to say, oh, you were right.
Yeah, and David Wallace Wells' book, Uninhabitable Earth. I
That's
mean,
it.
he has done,
Uninhabitable Earth.
yeah, well, it's confusing because Hot House Earth came out the same time as Uninhabitable Earth, and David Wallace Wells wrote Uninhabitable Earth, a very good book, if anyone wants to pick it up. And, I mean, he has the profile, right? He is a big New York writer. He's famous, he's good looking, and I mean, he has that pull. And so that book really went big. And the book, of course, was based on the article. I think it came out in the New Yorker, actually, now that I think of it.
New Yorker. I thought
Yeah,
well, wait a minute. It
was
wasn't New
it,
York
was
Magazine.
it?
Well, I could look it up, but we got
Well,
it.
whatever. It was the something Intelligencer, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that
Oh,
that's
yeah, that's New
affiliated.
York
Uh,
Magazine.
it,
I
I think
thought it
it's
was.
a branch of either
Really?
that or the New Yorker. But in any
Okay.
case,
Yeah.
the point of it is that these guys have a public pull, right? These guys really know what the heck is going on, and they have like so much charisma, and they are able to get their point and their news across in
Well,
places that
hell yeah, because they get
we
the
never
money
would be able
behind
to.
them.
Yeah, here we are wearing Christmas hats, on YouTube,
Well, should we
and
take a
this is
vote? Do we take them off or leave them on, guys? Are we distracting you from gloom and doom, which we don't really want to be gloom and doom, even though 2019, 2018, 2007, it's all the same thing.
offer on,
Okay,
offer on.
give it offer on. Come on, we want to see. Oh, nobody's giving us. We're not going to get this fast. I'm not.
Really.
Oh, love the festive hats, but should we keep them on or take them off? We have quite a lot of stuff to go over, and
By
it's
the way, we're just talking about the hats, right? Nothing
yeah, the
else.
hats. God, hi Cheryl. It's the last Friday we're going to be on ever in 2019. It is the
That's
last
right.
Friday, and it
Well,
is a decade is over again. And Jen, do you remember when you were young? I remember thinking, "Oh my God, I'll be in in the year 2000, a certain
oh
age,"
yeah,
and I
I
was young, and
totally
I'm,
remember
oh
that.
my
I
God, and
totally
now it's
remember.
20 years freaking later.
I
Okay, what
know,
do
and
we
you never
do?
thought.
Hats, keep. All right, Shirhana says keep them.
Oh my God.
Well, if I get hot, I'm taking it off because my wood stove, we have some really
Mm.
kick-ass hot. I had to shut the door. It was 83 in the house just from the wood stove, and it's hot. So I may not be able to keep my hat on, but we'll try. We really don't want to be, we want to be taken seriously. But this really, it's a good article. And Jen, we were going to go back and forth with it because it really
Yeah,
encapsulates the year. And guys,
it
listen,
does. It,
leave hats on, take the rest off. Brooke Hermit, at my age, no. I think you'd much rather see the hat on. Okay, I digress. And you know what? I'm only drinking water with vitamin water in it.
oh yes, here, cheers. I'm drinking water too. There
Yeah,
you
we're
go.
doing our water thing. Considering I broke the corkscrew the last time. And oh, the ons have it. All right, we'll leave the hats on. Okay,
Oh
we're going to
my,
get
all
started
right.
with this one from DW. 2019, the year of climate consciousness. Jen, take it away.
Yeah, well, let's just kind of go through it sequentially, kind
Okay,
of bit by bit.
sounds
And
good.
the first thing that it dives into is the fact that we've had raging wildfires. I mean, we've had raging wildfires all over the globe. We've had them in Australia, we've had them in California, we've had them all over the place. And I know that even in where my aunt lives in Marin County, they had rolling blackouts from
Oh, yeah.
PG&E.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
a lot more than
yeah.
just Marin. I had friends that were
Yeah.
experiencing it. Karen
Yeah.
Reese, she didn't have electric for a while. She's
I mean,
always hit
that's
with all this stuff.
crazy. That's crazy, right? So just the first, just kind of like the first paragraph here. Fires raged across the world throughout 2019, wiping out biodiversity and releasing the carbon stored in trees and plants. This was the year that we saw the Amazon burn. How could I forget the Amazon, right?
Of
The
course.
Amazon, just like how many hundreds of, I don't even know. Maybe you know how many fires there were, but they were all over the
Oh,
Amazon.
and they were being
The,
set by different people, and the
ah,
conditions were right. Yeah.
yeah. And the Amazon was burning like never before. Do you keep hearing that refrain? Faster than expected, like
Oh,
never
that. Yes, of
before,
course.
unprecedented. This
Yeah.
has never been seen. I mean, you hear this like on a daily basis now, like never before, and the flames sweep the Arctic tundra. I mean, let's not forget that. We are having peat fires up in Siberia. That's incredibly dangerous because peat is a highly combustible substance, and there's lots of it because
Mm-hmm.
basically the permafrost mostly is like peat and permafrost, kind of same, you know. Then you have thawed permafrost and you have permamush, and that's all burnable. So that's burning up in the Arctic.
Yes.
So I would say the lungs of the earth burn. This was the year of wildfires.
Yeah, Shirhana said Hadley cell expansion and sudden stratospheric warming, south-southwest, down under, will be deadly combo too.
Oh my goodness. My goodness.
All right. We'll get to you guys. Let's get our through it. We'll get our through our show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you were and I'm at the Arctic melt.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know about that. Actually, if you go, there are a lot of people that you can learn about the Arctic ice from, and how much, if the extent is more, but the volume is less, all of those things. But in 2019, the average air temperature in the Arctic was almost 2 degrees Celsius, 3 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. And the
That's
temperatures in
scary.
Greenland reached highs of over 17 degrees Celsius, which is 63 Fahrenheit in June, which caused rapid ice sheet melting. And
Go figure. How does that happen?
these guys, these. All right, I didn't take this picture and put it up.
Oh,
The dogs
I can
mushing. Can you
that
see them?
those yes, those are the huskies going through. That
Yeah,
should be a frozen lake, and they're
sure.
actually it's all melted
I
on top, so
know.
they're just like pulling it through
My
the
yard still
water.
has more ice than that. But this year,
Yeah.
that summer melt was the second lowest ever recorded. So the 13 in the 13 lowest sea ice extents in the satellite record have all occurred in the last 13 years. That was the Arctic report card, because we're going to talk about some of the also never seen reports that are out there that came out last year, but people don't see because we're always seeing these big things. The Arctic, it has global repercussions. It works as a giant freezer for the planet, which we were talking about last Friday. The Arctic works, it's the snow and ice, they reflect the sun's energy, and we all know all this about the albedo cooling the entire planet. But as the ice retreats, that vicious cycle is set in motion. So the Arctic may be contributing to climate change itself. And Jennifer was just talking about that. So this is actually repetitious. We know that that the carbon turns into a greenhouse gas, and the article doesn't tell a lot of us what we don't know, but what we hope is when other people that are not us watch, they learn from this. So some of it is repetition for a lot of you out there.
Yes. Well, it is a litany of horrors, but it can't be repeated too much.
Listen, guys, I'm sorry. I got to take this off.
Are you hot?
I'm sorry. Well, it's too hot.
I'll keep mine on for the time being.
You can keep yours on. It looks perfect on you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to take care of the next section of this article, and it's all about the rising sea levels. Rising seas threaten more cities than anticipated. I mean, yet again, it's very clear the scientists don't know what's going on, So climate change isn't just threatening wild habitats. New research published this year shows that rising seas could affect 3 times more people by 2050 than previously thought. Wow. Some 150 million people are currently living on land that could be submerged by mid-century. And so I heard about this and I was like, how is it that they could have made a mistake and it now is like 2 or 3 times people more than previously thought? Mm-hmm. I heard something about the way they were calculating the land with satellite. They weren't taking into consideration the tops of trees and things like that. So anyway, when they kind of put it at the right altitude where it was supposed to be, where the trees start to grow, not where the trees are, and that kind of was screwing up some of the altitude measurements. They found that, it's worse because they had made some miscalculations, and B, it's worse because the Arctic and Greenland is melting more than ever, and it's just absolutely amazing. So listen to this. A quarter of the current population of Vietnam, for instance, live on land such as Ho Chi Minh City, which is Saigon for those of us that grew up then, that will likely be inundated. In Thailand, that figure stands at more than 10% of the population. Cities like Mumbai, Shanghai, and Bangkok could also be wiped out. So that's by 2050. So here we are, 2020 now, right? We've just said goodbye to the teens, and now we're into our 20s. And so that's like just 30 years from now. And they're saying that these cities, and I saw a sea level rise map of Bangkok, and I was absolutely astounded. I was like, holy crap, Bangkok is a giant, huge city, and it's basically just going to be wiped out, and there's not much that can be done about it.
Is it below sea level?
Bangkok isn't. Jakarta is kind of like, Jakarta is getting really, really flooded.
And the Philippines just got a nasty storm, and they got 25 people died, and there's
is that
all
right?
kinds of the Philippines is a mess. It happened right for Christmas.
Yeah. Oh God, that's awful.
Cosmic,
right?
It's cosmic for Duterte, but unfortunately, it won't hurt him. It'll hurt the people.
Oh, it's so sad.
He's the
So that's
the
it
dictator.
for oh yeah. So that's it for sea level rise. Just another thing, Sandy, that link I sent you about that composite sea level rise video.
Yeah, you want me to try to pull it up? For everybody
no,
here?
because it's 30.
Oh, okay.
No, because it's 32 minutes long.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, like, Sandy is going to post the link to that video about sea level rise. It's from Climate Stay in the show notes. And what I really like about this video, it's a composite video over the last 30 years, bringing in all these different people from different conferences, from different interviews and outtakes, and mushing it all together in 32 minutes of sea level rise terror. So if you really want to get your hand around the sea level rise, watch this video that Sandy's going to attach, and from Climate Stay. It's absolutely stunning.
And this
So
is what
that's
Antonio was always his sea level rise, and now he's studying the nuclear energy
uh,
and the power plants and what would happen in a
oh,
catastrophe. So yeah, because he wrote the climate plan for his school, and I read it, and it was unbelievable.
oh, he's so smart.
I know. Okay, so do you want me to go on for the Fridays for Future?
Yes,
All right,
please.
so the next thing is Fridays for Future goes global. And as I showed I guess one of the most poignant clips by Greta in the beginning, but with all the bad news, it's perhaps no surprise that 2019 saw climate change loom larger than ever in the public consciousness, and that spurred unprecedented action. And so we know about Greta's rise. She skipped school to demand the Swedish government act on climate change, and a week later she was joined by fellow students. March 2019, it just took off. It took off, and Fridays for Future students were joined by Scientists for Future, Parents for Future, and then there's the Sunrise Movement. So the kids are really waking up to this. Now, as an aside, Jennifer, when I had first sent you that other video of Greta, it was on the Sky News. There were 35,000 thumb up and 65,000 thumbs down to Greta, and the comments were horrible and vicious.
Oh,
I think it's a
people.
right-wing Australian paper, online thing, but I'm not even going to do that. I was going to read some of the comments, but we all know the
Oh
kind
no.
of people out there. But this is what we're up against in 2000 for going into 2020 is all of this vicious, nasty ugliness, and against people like Greta, the children, the hypocrites, the children. And then there's
These
extinction.
people are they're despicable. I just can't
It's
stand it.
sad. It's sad. I
Yeah.
mean, they say terrible things. Oh, Antonio's with us.
Hi, Antonio.
NRC. Okay, they're having a conversation in the chat that we're not in. We're having ours.
All
So,
right.
Extinction Rebellion this year shifts into gears on climate activism. So, alongside Fridays for Future, the big name in climate activism was what? XR! And the movement started in the United Kingdom in 2018, but like Fridays for Future, it went global in 2019, and it has groups in 70 countries around the world, including our friends Warren, who has made Tampa Bay, Florida, an Extinction Rebellion success. So, who would have thunk conservative Florida, right? Inspired by grassroots movements like Occupy and the nonviolence of Gandhi and Rosa Parks, XR is going one step further than waving banners and has turned to civil disobedience to drive their message home. I mean, we're talking those hunger strikes, and there have been quite a few videos I've shared that I watched on Environmental Coffee House Facebook page from YouTube that really chronicles everything that's going on. I mean, these people they were, the last one I watched, I mean, they were on 20-day hunger strike.
Oh
I
my
mean, these
God.
are dedicated, these people believe with all their heart that we need to change. And it's not just climate change, it's changed governments. I hope they go farther. I mean,
Yeah.
we need the changes. But
Yeah.
it was hardly on anybody's radar in 18, but 19, 19 was the
Yeah.
big year for it. And I suppose they had hundreds of cities around the world, as well as the EU Parliament declared a climate emergency in 2019, admitting that measures taken thus far to prevent a climate disaster aren't enough, and promising to make climate change policy a priority. But of course, that priority is not in the United States with the moron in chief we have. And I can't go time without having to mention 89 regulation rollbacks and exacerbating drilling and fracking. And he's a narcissistic piece of shit. Okay, I'm done. That's my
Okay,
end of the
okay.
year commentary on DJT. I digress, Jennifer.
Oh, he's such a
So
piece of shit.
you go
Okay,
to the next one, which was the climate
officially,
conference. Yeah,
he is a piece of shit.
yeah.
Okay, so all of this added up to the year of climate emergency, and this is, it says here. I mean, we've got Greta, we've got Extinction Rebellion, and it says here one of Extinction Rebellion's core demands is that the government declare a climate emergency.
Yeah.
Oxford Dictionary chose the phrase as word of the year 2019, defining the term
Word of the year.
as word of
Woo!
the year. Yeah, climate
Woo-hoo-hoo!
emergency is the year of the word. I mean, maybe the word of the year. Um, don't do situation. Defining the term as a situation in which urgent action is required to reduce or halt climate change and avoid potentially irreversible environmental damage resulting from it. So it's just utterly amazing. I mean, here we've been yakking about this for so long.
Yep.
And then finally, 2019, it just kind of like kaboom. We've got Extinction Rebellion, we've got Greta, we've got the year of climate emergency, we've got people marching in the street, we've got all sorts of things. Hundreds of cities around the world, as well as the EU Parliament, declared a climate emergency in 2019. They're admitting that measures taken thus far to prevent a climate disaster aren't enough. They
No.
haven't started. They
No.
haven't started, aren't enough, and promise to make climate change policy a priority. Well, that'll be the day. It would be lovely to see climate change being a priority in policy, wouldn't it?
Well, that's why we have to elect. I'm not, you know what? I don't represent ECH. I mean, everybody has who they want. I personally am endorsing Bernie. I'm going to come out and say it. I think he's the one that, at least for my lifetime, I'd like to see start the ball rolling. Others can disagree, and that's fine. That is fine. I just do think that he's going to bring on the best scientists and experts, and really try to work to turn something around so we can be a partnership again with countries that give a shit. It would be wonderful. It would be wonderful. I would like to see that happen. Of course, it's huge because the media is going to screw everything every which way. Today I was listening to the guy in Canada, the Rational National, Dave. He's excellent. He was reading the statistics on the coverage on the United States media of the Democratic primary candidates. And of course, they're bumping up a couple and they're silencing a couple. And who do you think they silence? Bernie. And they know he's getting popular and they know he's got a populist message, but we'll see. And then he could bring on board all the other advocates of climate change policies, EPA, and I'm done with politics. I didn't even want to go there. I'm just excited because I watched some cool videos that I thought Bernie put out that were spectacular. All right, I'm done. Jennifer.
Okay. All right. Well, let's turn our attention over to the COP25. Apparently, a lot of people thought COP25 was a cop out 25, and it was really disappointing. Governments were expected to collectively agree on a deal to cut greenhouse gas emissions more rapidly. Yet, the concluding resolution only endorsed the urgent need to close the gap between existing emission pledges and the goals set at the 2015 Paris Agreement. Brazil, China, Australia, Saudi Arabia, and the United States reportedly led resistance to bolder action. Thank you again. I mean, isn't that sad? So, Brazil, China, Australia, Saudi Arabia, and United States, we were all like big blockages in the way of anything happening. That was kind of sad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's driven by money. I mean, people were saying that, it was so commercialized, or people were just, it's the focus is on, Well, I don't know how else to change it myself, to make any changes. I guess it has to be economics because the only way you get things done is to have the wherewithal to do it. And that means changing the whole mindset of the world, really. I mean, the world. The world. And Antonio
Absolutely.
says, COP 25, 25 years of climate failure. And he's, what are you,
Yeah.
27, Antonio? So, I mean, he's
His whole
27
life
years
it's been
old.
a story of climate
Yeah.
failure. That's when they say, well, we haven't been doing as much as we need to do. No shit, right? I mean, it's cop out 25.
Boy, Harley
So
said this COP essentially eliminated any climate action. Oh my God, we could go into this and talk about this whole thing for the rest of the whole
that's
show.
depressing.
It
It's
is,
really,
but what do? We don't give up. There are people out there doing amazing things and permaculture projects and tree planting projects. And it doesn't matter. We don't know what the end result is, or do we? You know, but it's what we do to get through now. 26, that's right. Antonio's goddamn 26. I put a year on him. He's got an old soul. All right. Well, anyway, let's get to
that's
the other
right.
one. There were, we could talk about the quick change, the 12 major climate change reports that nobody's ever heard of.
Oh,
We're
there you go.
always, right? We're going to look at that article. Did you pull it up?
Yeah. Yep,
Okay.
I sure did.
We were looking at, and I know Yale Climate Connections was a little controversial in 2019 with their methane madness video, with the chick going, "Oh my God, I went home every
Oh,
day worried
I,
about the
I,
methane blowing up from
I,
my sewer." I mean,
I'd really like to address that if you
yes,
don't mind.
I'm letting you.
I just want to take at least maybe 5 to 7 minutes to address that.
Okay,
So,
go for it, sweetheart.
because there's been a lot more action about that, and I recently saw, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I can't remember when it was, Sandy, but that Yale Climate Connections came out with this methane denialist video, right? They're basically declaring that the methane bomb is just an alarmist figment of everybody's imagination, which was shocking. But a lot more people got on the bandwagon. I recently saw a video by Stuart Scott and Peter Wadhams, and they were talking about how absolutely ridiculous this was. And they made two videos about how ridiculous this
Yeah,
methane denial
remember?
thing that was going on in Yale Climate Connections. It's just amazing. So Torsten and I launched it off last year, and we had
All
some sort of,
right.
I mean, it was the permafrost wars, and there are like 12 videos in the permafrost wars now. There was a lot of kind of interest in that topic. And why was Yale Climate Connections denying that the methane bomb was a possibility? It all depends how you define bomb as well. But, so that thing is still alive and well. So
Well,
just to let you
you're
know.
the one that keeps on top of this for us. You are our methane queen, queen of methane.
Oh dear.
You are amongst some royalty, and not the other woman that was in that Yale Climate Connections one that was just talking about minimizing every
Oh,
single thing so that you would think nobody worries. But besides, I mean, methane is just not an Arctic permafrost problem. I mean, we have a big factory farming issue in the world too. I mean, we really need to wow, we need to do something. But okay, let's go to these reports, and I'll start out with it is Yale Climate Connections, but it's okay because I found that these are reports that we really don't talk about a lot, and they're interesting, and there's little abstracts of these. It starts out with the first one is climate communication and action, and there was a report that came out, accelerating climate action, refocusing policies through a well-being lens. So this was OECD, and the report takes a political economy approach to the low
uh-huh.
emissions transitions needed across 5 economic sectors: electricity, heavy industry, residential, surface transport, and agriculture. that are responsible for more than 60% of the emissions, global greenhouse emissions. So, synergies between emissions reduction and broader well being objectives, such as reduced air pollution and improved health, increase the incentives for early mitigation action. So, these reports are out there, and municipalities and states and countries, they're all going to work on this regardless of what the end result, regardless if we've passed tipping points. And we want to see the best ones implemented no matter what. No matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first one. And then Jennifer, you can go, we don't have to
Yeah.
look at all of them, but go for it.
Well, it's interesting to know what people
Policy.
are writing about. And I was actually
Absolutely.
very interested to hear about this OECD one because my dad used to work for the OECD in Paris for a couple of years.
Well, then give us the
as part of
acronym
his
meaning.
gig. Oh, yeah. Opération économique commerciale développement, I believe, is what the OECD means.
Okay.
If I've got that right.
And I'm going to put that link in.
So here's another one that somebody wrote, and it's called Burning Problems, Inspiring Solutions, Sharing Lessons on Action Against Tobacco and Fossil Fuel. That's very interesting. They're linking the tobacco and fossil fuel, and that's very much along the line of Merchants of Doubt, right?
Yep.
Do you all remember Merchants of Doubt that was written by Naomi, what was her last name? No, not Klein.
Oh,
the other, the one that works at you. The one that works, Arensky or something like that. Areski. Yeah. So she made, and I really recommend this documentary. You can actually download it on Prime if you're part of Amazon, but it's called Merchants of Doubt by Naomi and the Clan. And it is a very good bust out of the fossil fuel strategy, which is very much like the tobacco strategy in their duplicity and downright lying. Right.
Wow.
And so she busts that out. So this looks like another one that busts this situation out. So just one paragraph to kind of give you an idea about it. Fossil fuel combustion is a major source of toxic air pollution that kills 7 million people each year. And I'm not going to go into this whole thing, but it talks about it in that vein. So that's that thing that came out. It's 31 pages, Burning Problems, Inspiring Solutions, Sharing Lessons on Action Against Tobacco and Fossil Fuels. So take it away, Sandy. You can do the next one.
Okay, let's see here. The next one was, well, are the public ready for net zero? Recommendations for building a positive public discourse. So this is who is this by? Chris Shaw, Climate Outreach 2019. 52 pages. Free download right here.
Right here.
Yeah, right here. The school strikes and Extinction Rebellion have created an incredible surge of energy. But how is the concept of net zero and the ambition contained within it understood and engaged with beyond the environmental movement? Are the public, and especially the center-right, ready for net zero? Are we? I'm saying that. Are we? Download the report to read the key findings and recommendations for campaigners looking to spread net zero messages, harnessing the energy of the school strike and Extinction Rebellion campaigns. That's pretty cool. Our findings are based on a review of the language currently being used in connection with net zero by campaigners, journalists, and policy actors, as well as 2 narrative workshops we ran with members of the public who hold center-right political values. It's all about communication. And it's all about not making people feel that they are minimized or not listened to. It's about, I guess, giving a different narrative that gets them to the same place. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So segueing into public health now.
Yeah,
this is a report that came out, and it's called The State of Climate Adaptation in Public Health, an assessment of 16 states. It's 91 pages, And just the first sentence to give you a flavor as to what this is about. Eco-Adapt scientists examined if and how climate change is being integrated into activities at state public health departments and other agencies and organizations. The majority of initiatives at state health departments surveyed are focused on capacity building, primarily environmental health monitoring, vulnerability assessment, and adaptation planning efforts. My goodness, this is certainly a mouthful.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. But these are things that
yeah,
are going on that we don't usually
yeah,
do. We don't usually, we're always with the same report. So I thought this was really cool.
yeah, absolutely. Just what are other people saying about this, right? What's the next one, Sandy?
The next one was healthcare's climate footprint, how the health sector contributes to the global climate crisis. Whoop, wait a minute. And opportunities for action, which is by an organization called Healthcare Without Harm.
Oh, that sounds
And
cool.
this was in collaboration with this Healthcare Without Harm and ARUP, which I have to look at. Oh, ARUP, which is the same thing. Okay, that's
Okay.
ARUP comes before it. They have estimated that healthcare sector's global climate footprint, establishing for the first time the significance for healthcare's contribution to the climate emergency. Oh my God, I could do a whole video on just legal dope.
Oh,
And how you
absolutely you
throw
could.
away, how everything is throwaway. Okay. Uh, Healthcare's climate foot. I started getting on that, Jag, when I came and visited you. Healthcare's climate footprint is 4.4. Don't you remember me bitching about the packaging? Come on, Jennifer. I was sitting there and did a half an hour diatribe bitching about the plastic packaging, that the legal, stuff, whatever you want to call it. Healthcare's climate footprint is a 4.4% of the global total. So, meaning
Hmm.
that if it were a country, it would be the fifth largest emitter on the planet. Oh my God, this one is really interesting to me. With a footprint of this size, it becomes clear that healthcare can play a vital role in mitigating mankind's climate impact. So it identifies key sources of emissions, which is a first step in establishing a route map for healthcare's transitions. So emissions, but it's also everything they use. I mean, yes, we have to be antiseptic, but my God, everything is throwaway. I just see half of our landfills filled with this. All the plastic medical waste floating around every ocean and every freaking goddamn continent. It's
Yeah.
half of it or
It,
more is it's the food industry and the healthcare industry.
it's so true. And I don't
Yeah,
know if you remember, Sandy, but when I was a kid, I grew up in Southeast Asia,
I
in Laos.
remember.
And it was a long time ago. It was during the Vietnam War,
Me too,
and
hon.
it was a yeah, we're the same age. And during that time, Laos was a very, very undeveloped country, and it just didn't have things like all this refuse, all this plastic. When you wanted to get some food, you know what you got it on? You got it in a little banana leaf, and they could like wrap these banana leaves in all these cute little boxes and
Yeah.
everything. Like, you'd have like rice in a banana leaf, you could have anything you wanted in a banana leaf. And it was the 60s and the 70s, so obviously, plastic was not as high tech as it is today,
Oh
but
my
that
God.
that place was utterly unspoiled. I'm telling you, I grew up in an absolutely pristine war zone. And it was just like that was
That's
one of the things, though, because all of the garbage was pretty natural. Like, there weren't these garbage dumps full of plastic. It was just like banana leaves and stuff, you
yeah.
know?
Compostable stuff.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
What a childhood. I bet
Yeah.
everybody in our chat has an amazing story. Don't you wish you could bring everybody on?
Oh, yeah,
We could have like
sure.
a 90-person conference and and have a panel. Just like we'll have our own little cop, but it'll all be online. We'll
Yeah,
have the unprofessional professional cop.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
All
I'm going to
right.
go ahead and take this next one with the
Take the
interest of
next one.
moving this ship along here.
Okay.
Okay, so, and I have a personal story about this next one as well.
All right.
Malaria eradication within a generation. Ambitious, achievable, and necessary. So I'm just going to read it and then I'm going to tell you my little story.
Okay.
When but once the notion, malaria is just a horrendous disease. I don't know
Mm.
if you guys know about it. And it is usually in the tropics and usually carried by mosquitoes. And as I
Yeesh.
lived in Laos, I took all this like really bitter quinine pills like every single week so I wouldn't get malaria. Where once the notion of malaria's elimination at the regional level seemed beyond reach, the international discussion has now turned to an even loftier goal, the complete global eradication of malaria. Despite increased investment,
Wow.
technological improvements, and a massive reduction in deaths annually, arriving at a consensus around the feasibility of and the path to achieving malaria eradication has been difficult. So it goes on a little bit longer than that. But my mother got malaria when we were over in Laos, and I thought that she took those nasty pills too, but she got malaria, and malaria is a terrible disease, and it kind of comes in waves. Like it'll come every 48 hours, and you'll just like go into this horrible, fever and sweats and almost delirium, and then it subsides. But once you get malaria, it's kind of one of
Yeah.
those things that's in your body. It's not like, a cold and you're rid of it
We had
on. It's
somebody
kind of
with it. Angelina had it. Oh.
really.
Oh,
Did she have a
Angelina.
bad did she
Oh.
have a bad go of it?
I don't know. She'll tell us.
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
That's
let us know, Angelina, and let us know too, where did you get this malaria? Because
yeah.
generally speaking, it's down in the tropics with mosquitoes.
And then Book Hermit, of course. Malaria? We need DDT back for that one. Okay. We don't need DDT to wreck all the plants and every other thing around just to keep us from dying from malaria. We can't kill all the plants. Wasn't DDT a really pretty
Yeah.
horrific
It was
pesticide?
absolutely
And I don't
horrific,
have
and
any.
as soon as they banned it, I think DDT got banned. Then the eagles and these different birds, their eggs had been so the shells had been soft and they weren't able to hatch their babies because the DDT was degrading the quality of their shells,
Oh
and
my
they weren't
gosh.
able to bring their babies to, they weren't able to continue. And as soon as they banned the DDT, then the eggs started forming better again, and birds that had been nearly extinct and on the endangered list came back with gusto. So there you go. I mean, you can make a difference in these little areas, if you put your mind to it, and if everybody kind of gets on board and does it, then you can make a difference. And that's a perfect example, banning DDT, and then
You're a
then the
wealth of
birds come back.
knowledge. You are a wealth of knowledge. I'm looking to see if she answered. You are a wealth of knowledge. Wow. Well, Steve said DDT did a job on me. Oh, now I
Really?
am real sicky. Ramones.
Oh,
Oh, all right. Well, that was a good one though, Jennifer. That was a good one.
yeah.
So these are all, and then the next ones are community readiness, recovery, and resilience. I mean,
Okay.
communities are going to talk. They have to. I mean, people are already having fires and all over the world. I mean, everywhere. Okay, like I said, the Philippines now. So this one was called Community Resilience Indicator Analysis. County level analysis of commonly used indicators from peer reviewed research. So it's probably a pretty easy to read 88 pages. It's from FEMA, but it was
Oh.
2018. So did they let anybody have a brain in FEMA in 2018? Well,
Well, how about that? What a shock.
I'm shocked. While most actions to improve community resilience capacity occur at the local level, federal programs provide numerous resources, really, that support relevant community capacity building nationwide. Well, this is what has to happen. But I think it's going to come from the people. But anyway, it's important to understand how such actions improve local resilience capacity. But the
Mm-hmm.
availability of locally scaled data for use in understanding and tracking community resilience capacity naturally is very limited, of course, because nobody knows what it is. So basically, those words, these are things that people in communities, they have to know what they are first. But that, I guess, having this report is a good start. I didn't mean to get, but nobody I know in my community would know what this is. So we have to start somewhere, right? And then there's another one with
Uh,
Texas continues to
oh,
recover. Did you want to do that, or did you have a
yeah.
comment on the other
I
one?
I know. I totally want to do the Texas one, if you don't mind. Is it
I
if it's
wasn't
okay?
going to do it. I was hoping you said so.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I have a reason for wanting to do this. But first, let me tell you about this other report. Texas continues to recover 2 years after Hurricane Harvey. What's the likelihood that Texas is such a nation? I'm not saying that everybody in Texas is a climate denier, but let's just say that they really don't like to talk about it very much.
Oh, mm-mm.
Um, so I mean, after Hurricane Harvey, which basically completely swamped, there was something like 52 inches of rain or something absolutely ridiculous. Do you remember that? It was
Yeah.
like in
I'm off the
2017. So,
screen.
okay. So Hurricane Harvey made landfall outside Rockport, Texas on August 25th, 2017 as a Category 4 storm. As of June 2019, so we're talking 2 years later, 60 counties in Texas remain disaster areas. Think about that. That's 2 years
Wow.
after this hurricane. We
Wow.
still have 60 counties in Texas that are disaster areas. Among those still coping with trauma are more than 3 million children. Texas continues to recover. 2 years after Harvey provides a high level overview of the recovery process. And I won't go into the whole thing, but, I mean, this is kind of like death by a thousand cuts, right?
Yes.
It's not like any one thing is going to kill you. It's like, well, this disaster brings this area down, and this disaster brings that area down. In Texas, we have 60 counties that are still disaster areas from Hurricane Harvey of 2 years ago. So if you want to download any of these very, very interesting reports, check the show notes that Sandy's going to put there with the video. This one is also downloadable. All of these reports are downloadable from this Yale Climate Connections article. And this one's 73 pages talking all about the Texas recovery, which I think is very interesting. So there you
Okay, cool. We will put that up. I was a little sidetracked for a second because I got a comment from Kent, and he said something about an executive order just hit the desks of Arctic researchers. So
really.
yeah, and I was doing a Google on it. I mean, the stuff that's coming up was 2016. So Ken, if you have any kind of link, you're not a give it to Kim or whatever. I don't know. Let his link go if you have a link on this because that's interesting. I would like to know: are they going to bring our Arctic researchers home? Is it going to be a defunded thing? Oh my
Mm,
goodness.
that's
Oh my
scary.
goodness. All right. So sorry about that, but that was Kent. That was good because it brought up something in the middle of this and we're going to go to
Yeah.
the Arctic. We have an Arctic video. We don't have a long time because we're almost an hour, but and this report, there are a couple more. And the oceans, which Jennifer and I can share because she has a passion for the oceans and a study. We have the first one, which is the ocean and cryosphere in a changing climate. And these again are for policymakers. So this one came out by it did come out partially by the IPCC. I guess it is the ocean part. So I'm not going to go there.
Uh-huh.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to go through the whole thing, but Jennifer, there's another one you might be interested.
Yeah,
The
sure.
second one.
The ocean as a solution to climate change. 5 opportunities to
Action.
action.
Hmm.
So that sounds kind of interesting. Climate
Yeah.
change poses stark risks to the health of the ocean. We know that. And the realization of a prosperous and sustainable ocean economy. Well, that would be good. Prosperous and sustainable, both of those things would be good. But the ocean also is also central to reducing global greenhouse gas emissions. To highlight the important role of the ocean as a solution to global climate change, the high-level panel has prepared an initiative for ocean-based climate change action. So this is something you can download if you want to learn about actions you can take to help these ocean initiatives.
Which is cool. We love our oceans. I watched a video
Absolutely.
today by Martin Hutchinson, just watching this guy dig out plastic, as he calls it, rubbish from the seashore, from the ocean, all over the
Yeah.
world, the plastic refuse.
Ugh, so terrible.
Yeah. So when I read that there's policy and, people are trying in countries to get together. There's one more, or did you read this one? The last
No,
one,
this last
the
for you.
decision framework for intervention to increase the persistence and resilience of the coral reefs. Okay, so we all know about the coral reefs. This is an interesting one. So I guess Yale put this one in because it is critical, and we know that. So this one is research on interventions to combat these relatively newer stressors and a reevaluation of long-standing interventions. So that was 12 pretty different
Mhm.
reports that we don't always talk about, these kind of reports that
Absolutely.
policymakers all over the world, it's just going to be a fact that this is from everywhere, even in universities, as Tony will tell you. It's like a little city, has policies on all of climate change, and even going down to where they purchase their energy. And everyone has to think like this. Everyone has to break down. Where do you purchase your energy? How can you go net zero? How can you go carbon free? It's got to be broken down to the smallest bits, to the local level of everywhere. And the developing countries, they say developing, they call them developing. And one of the arguments, Jennifer, is on the denier side is, oh, then they're going to be denied what we've had for so long. But no, it'll be a different world for them
Mhm.
for as long as it goes, if we can
Mhm.
get, alternatives. And the people that have resilience are people that have lived off the land, that have lived taking a subsistence lifestyle. They're the people that already have it way ahead of us, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Well,
right.
that was very interesting. So what do you want to cover next?
Well, we have been on for almost an hour, and we have a lot of really cool. Everybody's with us. It's been great. I have a video if you wanted me to show the Arctic video,
Yeah,
which was one
why don't you
minute and
show that?
28. We can end with the Arctic because the Arctic is a amazing favorite of all of us. So I'm going to put this up, and we're going to watch this because I'm trying to get a little technical here. I'm actually trying to learn, so you guys will bear with me. I'm going to play this, and let's hope it looks good and that you can't see the overlays.
It's 10 o'clock.
All right. That was cool. And here we are, back again.
All right.
I like that little video to end with because we all love the Arctic here. And the Arctic is a primary concern and of a lot of people. Jennifer?
Yep, absolutely. And Kent just sent me a video while that was playing.
Oh.
Yeah, discussion on executive order for ocean mapping, shoreline near Alaska. So something about sea level rise, it looks like. So anyway, it's been another action-packed, informative hour, Sandy. I'm so honored that I'm able to be a part of Environmental Coffee House, and
I'm honored that I could even sit long enough. But I took myself off the screen and fiddled around. You didn't know it, but I took myself off so I could stand up and stretch because it's really hard. But I did it. Another Friday. It's great.
yay.
And it's a holiday week. I mean, the next time you see us together, it'll be 2020, which really feels weird to say 2020. It just is. But all right, guys, I will end with going south, saying thanks, ladies, and thank you all for coming, all of you.
Thank you.
All right, I got to find the
right.
little finish button, and we say peace and happy New Year.
Peace and Happy New Year.